Okay, hello everybody. My name is Ken Masson. I am the president of the Rotary Club of World Disability Advocacy. And today we have another Rotarian with us, and Grace. You and I have known each other for now about 3 years now, maybe longer. I don't know at this point. But
Yeah.
when we set up the club 3 years ago, actually 3 years ago, Grace, on June 17th, which is this Monday, is the 3 year anniversary of the club. So we've been around for 3 years now, and you are one of the charter members of this club. So thankful for that. And today we're going to talk with Grace about spina bifida, which is a condition that Grace has. So let's start out first by introducing yourself, Grace.
Okay, thank you so much. To all our viewers watching all over the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Grace Ndegwa. I'm a Rotarian based in Kenya, and I'm a youth with a disability. I have a spina bifida, so I will be talking based on my experience. So I'm so much grateful to be here, and thank you, Ken, for this opportunity.
You're welcome, Grace. You've also been really active in the disability community in Kenya. What's some of the things you've been doing over there?
Yes.
Yeah, what kind of things have you been doing in Kenya for people
Oh,
with
yes.
disabilities?
So thank you so much. For the last 3 years, I have been championing for the rights of persons with disability. I started when I was still in campus or university because aspirations of other people, especially youth with disability. I have been working with the different groups, organization, and government just to create awareness around disability and also advocating for inclusion, and not just inclusion, but meaningful inclusion of persons with disability, where I have been talking about the barriers and encouraging the institution to remove barriers that hinders no meaningful engagement of persons with disability and especially youth. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
God bless you for doing that. And when I say over there, I'm actually in Colombia, South America, and Grace is in Africa. So we're like an ocean between us at this point. Um, so Grace, let's talk about spina bifida. I think it's something that a lot of people need to understand better. So I'm going to
Mm.
let you give us a little education on what spina bifida is.
First, let me say I was born with this spina bifida because spina bifida is a congenital. People don't acquire it. You have to be, children are born with it because it happened at the inception when women or mother conceive. That's when the spina bifida occurs. And for my case, it was not known. It's because I come from village, interior village in Kenya. So there was no much awareness around spina bifida. And so I didn't get the medication, because if I got the medication on right time, maybe the severity of the condition could not have gone to the extent. So when I was born, my mom and the doctor didn't know that I had spina bifida because I could walk, I could run. I remember when I was in lower primary school, I could walk. And to some, when I was around at my teenage age, I started developing some complications. I started feeling weak, and I could not understand exactly what was it. And in Africa, there's so much beliefs around disability. So my parents were advised maybe to seek their spiritual help, but I was prayed for many years, but it never improved. And also I used to be taken to hospital, but because of they used to do me x-ray, they could not be able to detect it was a spina bifida, because the type of this spina bifida that I have, which is called a colter, it's so mild, you can have it, and maybe you get to the adulthood and it you'll never realize that you have it. So I grew, and it the more I grew, the now the it started manifesting. The more I grew, the space, or because simply spina bifida is a space, or it's incomplete spinal cord. It means that in your spinal cord there's a space. It's not like complete. So you see this, the hole, let me call it a hole, or an opening, kept on, increasing the more I was growing. So I started feeling weak. And you see, there was so much worry in my family, because there was no one else with the same condition. And it's just 2009 when I was done an MRI and discovered that I had a spina bifida, because when I was in the primary school, I started feeling weak and I could not walk to school, so I stopped school. And again I stopped, I could not be able to hold my bladder. I could not be able to control my bowel. So because of those complications, I could not be able to be with other people, because my level of confidence and self-esteem went so down, and I had to stay at home for 3 years without going home, until when I met someone who assisted my parents to go for further medication. And that's when it was discovered that I had a spina bifida, and some surgery was done for correction, but already it had done so much damage on my spine. So the doctor told me you won't walk again, and I had to accept and move on, because the level of my nerves were, the condition, or the spina bifida had gone to the extent that it had damaged my nerve system. So of course I lost mobility, and I had to start using a wheelchair and go back to school, and start life again. Of course, there's so much children who are born with the condition, but unfortunately, when these children are born with the spina bifida, because most of them, you find that at the backbone there's something that protruding. There's a sac protruding. So most of the parents get scared, and they hide their children, because it seems like it's abnormal thing, especially in the villages. So my experience was not that very good, but I had to. I think I'm not no longer in the denial, and I know I can do all things around with the condition, because I remember those days uh, when my mom discovered that I had spina bifida. Some people told her that this child cannot get to the adulthood. So they were expecting that I could die maybe uh, at 14, or maybe I could not get to 20 years. I could die before that age. So it was very discouraging to my parent. Even my father had to run away, because he was like, after all, you will die. And I remember there was this day when my dad told me, I cannot take care of you anymore. I cannot use more resources on medication, because I know you will die. And he said, you better be dead instead of making me poor, because he was selling land, he was selling cows. Sometimes he could sell goat, so that we get money to go, for hospital bills. So I think it gets to a point where he was so much discouraged, and because he was told that I wouldn't get to my 20s or to my adulthood, so he said, it's better I'm dead. So it's all around the myth around spina bifida, that children with disability, and especially spina bifida, can't make it in life. There's so much, ideas that we cannot live a quality life because of the complication. But you see, with the good medication, with the good management, we are able to, to access education. We are able to advance in our career and work, like, live just normal life like anybody else.
So, at what age were you when your father told you basically he's not going to care for you because you're going to die anyway? What age were you at that point?
I think it was around 14 years. Yeah, 14 years.
So that must have been really traumatic on you. I mean, to me, basically, he says you're a burden right now.
Yeah, of course, it also affected me because I was like, you mean I will die? uh, and I was like, why should I go to school and I will die? You see, I was feeling so hopeless, and it was, I don't know how to, maybe if I can call it a depression, because I think also children go through the depression, because I isolated myself from other people. I could stay in the house. I didn't want to see anybody. I could just, and because now you see, there was no management, so the bowel was getting worse, the urine was linking anyhowly, so you feel uncomfortable to interact.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
I,
even other people feel uncomfortable to be with you, and especially now that you are going to die, and it was really difficult, and I wish no child will go through what I went through.
oh, absolutely. And God, God, God bless the fact that the doctors were wrong. The doctors were wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've proved them wrong, and you've not only that but you become very active. One thing
Mhm.
I want to go back on is that you mentioned that it wasn't detected till later. So the question I have for you: if they had detected it earlier, would the impact be less on you?
Oh, okay. What? Yes, you see, once it's detected early enough, because what we said is that spina bifida is an incomplete spinal cord. All it means there is a space or a hole on the spinal cord. So what usually happen when the child is born with spina bifida, they're supposed to get the treatment immediately. Either they are done, the doctor do the surgery to to fill, or to make sure that the hole does not keep growing with the body, because the more you grow, the more the space keep increasing, so the more it keep on damaging the nerve system, the nerves around the spinal cord, or along the spine. So you see, if the surgery is done on time, then it means that the child will not lose the mobility. They will, because they will prevent the damage of the spine. So if maybe I got the diagnosis at early stage, maybe I could be walking, maybe I could, I could not lose my mobilities, and maybe avoid other, maybe family issues, because there was so much conflict in the family because of me. So yeah, so it could have brought maybe the peace in the family, and also my health could have improved better than maybe it is now, in terms of, you know now that I'm weak, maybe could be strong. And yeah, yeah, so the early
So
intervention is very important.
right. So that's what I guess I'm getting point to. So early diagnosis, the earlier, the better. So it's very
Yeah.
important if there's anyone that suspects that their child might have spina bifida to go and get a diagnosis on it as early as possible. Don't delay, basically.
Yeah.
So Um, and I I don't know how much you touched upon this, but is it preventable? Is it something that happened while your mother was pregnant that caused this, or is it just
Yes,
happened?
I when I grew up and I really did a lot of research around spina bifida, and one of the things that really cause spina bifida is lack of folic acid. Folic
Okay.
acid is very crucial to the mother and the child when, let me say, in 20 days of the pregnancy, the first 28 days of pregnancy, the folic acid is very important because it helps in formation of the spinal cord. So it means if the mother does not have enough folic acid in the body, which is we get it from food we eat, or from the maybe tablet. Nowadays, people get the folic acid supplement. If you do not have enough folic acid in the body as a mother and you happen to conceive, then there is high chances of getting a child with spina bifida. This is not um, the only reason that the doctor give, but there are other reasons as why people get spina bifida that include when the mother has the obesity, when the mother has the diabetes, and this is because the drugs that they take when they are taking some drugs, for example, diabetic drugs, it hinders the body from utilizing the folic acid that they get from the food. So there are so many other factors, but the major factor is the folic acid. And what the government is doing, I have seen in Kenya, is they are encouraging young from age 12, the child who has started getting the monthly period, or the child which, or the that child who can be able to conceive, or a woman or a young girl who is in a position to conceive, to start taking the folic acid, because of many cases that are being reported of children being born with spina bifida. So the major cause is lack of folic acid. And you see, another factor they give is hereditary. So they say, if, for example, Grace, I have a spina bifida, there's likelihood of getting a child with spina bifida. So I have to take, like for me, it's mandatory. I have to take folic acid if at all I want to conceive a child in future. Yeah.
Okay, so that was a question that I had too. So in some ways, then it's generic,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah, there is some
Mm,
generic component there to it that you could have a
yeah.
child with spina bifida.
Mm, yes.
Uh, Very interesting. Um, and so you said you had treatment as a child and operations as a child. Um, and what kind of operations are they? What do they do? Do that? You tell me. I'm not going to guess.
Yes, I there are three types of spina bifida. It's good to understand that. And three types have the all three type uh, must be done an operation, a surgery, to feed to close the gap. You see, to close the open gap, to ensure that the nerves are are moving along the spine, and other water. You see, there's a water that comes from the head and go down to the rest of the body through the spinal cord. So it means if there's an opening, the water will not have the flow, and this water is supposed to go to the rest of the body for different functions. So there's importance of closing the gap. But there are other management that the doctor do, or there's some other surgeries that they do, including a surgery to to insert the catheter. You see, now we say that this is something that compromises the nerves. So it means most of the people with spina bifida, if not all, they have issues to do with bowel, and they have issues to do with they cannot control bowel, they cannot control urine. So the doctor have to do a surgery to insert the catheter to ensure that the bladder keep on, emptying, draining the urine. Because again, if
Right.
the urine does not get out of the body, it means that you can get infection, and that infection can go to the urethra, then to the kidney. And most of the children
Mhm.
here in Kenya who have the spina bifida die out of because of kidney failures. They get infections, the infection is killed to the kidneys, and the kidney fall off. So all it's just stop working, and child die. So that surgery is very important. Others, they are done surgery to the intestine, so that the waste material can get out of the body, because the body cannot be able to do the system to remove that waste by itself, because of the severity, depending on the severity of the spina bifida. For example, there's this type of spina bifida called myelomeningocele. It's more the severe one. Myelomeningocele type of a spina bifida, you find that the child at the back, there's something protruding. Yeah, a sac. So this sac is like a wound, or yeah, it's an opening which sometimes doesn't have this, the skin. There's no skin covering the spine at that point. So you find that there's some water getting out of that space. So it's very risky if the child does not get the treatment because of the infection that gets there. And the child at this point, the nerves are totally damaged, and therefore they have to rely on caregiver to do the bowel, and to help bowel, and also to help in bladder, because the bladder itself cannot be able to support itself. So those two surgeries, they are done to ensure that the waste are removed from the body, so that they don't get other complications. But for a Colter, the type that I have is the most mild. It's very mild, and that's why I told you that before I could walk. And if you look at my back, there's nothing. You can't see anything. It's also called hidden, because there's nothing protruding from the back. You cannot see by your own eyes, and that's why the doctor could not be able to detect. But meningocele, that one, there's an opening at the back, and so much damage of the nerves, and that, of course, is a totally different issue. For my case, I can manage my bowel because of the early intervention, in terms of I did a lot of therapy. And also therapy is another intervention to at least strengthen the muscles. So for my bowel, it was not completely damaged, but for my for my blood, I have to use the catheter. Yeah. So
Okay.
different type of uh spina bifida receive different treatment and management, and especially management after the surgery.
Okay. And are you still going through surgery, or is that over now?
It's one surgery, because the back, when that hole is fixed, then it's done. So now you have to manage the effect, or maybe if it had damaged maybe the bladder, you have to manage the bladder. If it had damaged the nerve system towards the bowel, you have to manage now the bowel. But for my case, it had not gone too far. So some of, like, my bowel was not that damaged, so I can use my bowel very well. But for my bladder, it was affected. It means if I stayed longer without getting medication, it could have affected too, or even other things could have been affected. Yeah.
Okay. So, what about, so you're talking about it interrupts the flow of the fluid to the brain, basically. So is there
Mm.
possibility of
Mm.
brain damage because of it?
Of course, yes, because you see the water that come from the body, there's a water that come from the body through there, out of the body through the spine. So what happen if you have the gap? It means that it interferes with the flow of that water, and that makes water accumulate in the body, or not in the body, but rather in the head. So if the water accumulate in the head, of course you'll get the pressure, and of course that water will affect the brain, and that's what we call hydrocephalus. So that tells you that spina bifida can cause hydrocephalus if not treated. So the hydrocephalus, of course, it's something else that needs an extra maybe management, because most of the children will get a shunt. If somebody get understand of the shunt, is just a pipe that is inserted in the head and down to the bladder. The doctor know how to do that. So they drain the water using the shunt. But that is if the child does not get the surgery for the spine to correct the spine. Of course, it can cause the brain damage because of the accumulation of the water in the head. And of course, it damage the eye, because of the eye get pressure, and it can go and affect other brain, especially if not treated. Yeah.
So it's complicated, but thank God there are doctors that understand it and know how to deal with all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yes. Mm.
Um, and so let's talk a bit about you and growing up and where you are today, living with a disability. I'm sure, as with anybody with a disability, there are many impacts that's had on you. We know that there are globally issues with people discriminating against people with disabilities. And let's talk about you dealing with it to start with. You personally dealing with it, coming to grips with yourself that you're okay. You just have a disability. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Um, Let me say, to have a disability, someone need a lot of support. When I got some people who supported me, and especially in accepting. When you're in denial, the denial is a major challenge that people with disability face, and especially the caregivers, the mothers, they fear to accept, or they're not able to accept that their children have the disability. But the moment you accept that you have a disability, then you are able to know how to manage it. Yeah, because now, as a great, for me, I have a spina bifida, I have a physical disability, I use wheelchair, and that is not a problem. The problems comes if people do not accept me, if people discriminate me, if people create barriers that can hinder me from enjoying the rights, right to education, right to health, right to to decision making, right to be engaged, all these rights. So having disability is not problem. It's not a problem for me. That's my interpretation. I take disability as a part of the diversity that we have in the world. There are tall people, there are short stature people, there are people who are brown, there are people who are dark skin. There are people who come from Africa, there are people who come from Europe. All this diversity, and disability is part of diversity. We have people with disability, we have people without disability, we have women, we have men. It's a diversity that we have to accept. So the problems comes when people create barriers. See me different, see me as disabled. You see, they call us disabled. You see, when they see us as outcasts, when they see us as people who cannot, go to school and learn, as people who cannot support themselves, as people who cannot get employment, as people just who are there to be helped. You see, when they see us, on when they create these attitudinal barriers, when they create physical barriers in terms of how the infrastructure or buildings are done, when they put so much barrier around information, when there's so much policy barriers that hinders people with a disability from doing what they can do, then that is a problem. So having a disability or having an impairment is not a problem, but once these barriers are removed, we can be able to live a quality life like anybody else, because we can go to school, we can learn, maybe in a different um, mode of learning, maybe not the same with everyone else, but even the curriculum should be customized to meet the needs of people with disability, regardless of type of disability. When it comes to job employment, we can do job. They just need to create, environment that can support us, because we have skills, we have something we can offer. We can support the society, we can create solution that the world is a solution for the problems that the world is facing. So the failure to include people with a disability, that's the major challenge. But for me, I don't see the problem of having a disability. I don't feel it's an issue. Then an issue is when people fail to accept, to include people with a disability.
What a great answer. We're going to put that on plaques all over the world, posters, which a lot of things you just said, because people need to hear that. I'm going to take a second here to do a little ad for the club, because I think it's a good point to do it. We're the Rotary Club of World Disability Advocacy. We are basically global. We have members in the club that from 23 countries right now, and we work to advocate for the human rights of people with disabilities around the world. Anybody who's interested in learning more about the Rotary Club or about Grace can write to Rotary WDA at gmail.com. Okay, so and you just recently graduated from college with a degree, and that took a lot of. A lot of people would use their disability as a reason not to succeed, not to move forward, but you never have. You've gone to college, you've gotten a job, but I I the sad thing is, but it's life. That people with disabilities have to work harder than people without disabilities to accomplish things. Have you? I know it's an internal thing with you. You were driven. You were you were you were committed to get that degree and move forward.
Yes.
Um,
Mm.
and, and you must have faced discrimination throughout that. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because I'd like to talk about that discrimination, but I'd like to talk about how you dealt with it. Do you have thoughts on that, Grace? Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I agree with you. For us people with disability, we
Uh,
have to. Can you hear me? Hello?
because yeah, can you hear me? I can hear
Can
you.
you hear me?
Are we all right? Yeah, connected. We're connected, right? Grace,
Okay, okay. Yes, yes,
you can hear
yes.
me,
Yes, I'm
and you
connected.
can hear. Okay, so we're talking.
Yes.
All right. It's a wonderful thing about live,
Sorry for
being
that.
live. Yeah, that when live these things
Mm.
happen. But I guess I'm getting at, you could have very well said, I'm not going to do it. But obviously, there's something inside of you. There's something inside of you that you tapped into to move forward, and you were driven to do that. Um, Something in your life has caused you to be driven. I mean, any thoughts on that and being determined? And you went through situations where you could have very well quit, but you didn't.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. One, I want to respond on the statement you said that people with disability have to work harder or to go extra mile to achieve what they want. This is because of the barriers. If there was no barriers, then um, there's we could be equal, but the barriers makes hard or life hard for people with a disability, and so for them they have to be very determined. They have to be very assertive to achieve their goals. Yes, for me, I can say, um, though my dad was not really very supportive, my mother was very supportive. My mom was very supportive. He always encouraged me that I'm important. That's the first thing. He showed me that I'm important. So I knew even if everybody don't want me, even if everybody don't love me, I was like, oh, after all, my mom loves me. So I got that support from my mother. And then also, when I went to school, I got teachers who really supported me. And they told me, they always encouraged me, Grace, you have something that you can do for your family. This, you can change the life of your family. Uh, you can change the world. They showed me there's something that I can do, and they never uh, allowed me to to feel like I can't do it. They always showed the positive side of me and not the negative. So they focus on what I was able to do and not what I was not able to do. They know that I'm good academically, so they supported me through academics, and encouraging me so much. I think even at workplace, because I started working when I was still in campus, I got some mentors who did a lot of mentorship to me, and proved and give me also opportunity to prove that I can do it. So I think everyone outside there, they need support. If you can get somebody who can mentor you. If you have a disability, that's very important. Be in a group of people you think they can really support you, and also focus on the positive side of it. Because if you look at the world, there's so much myth, there's so much barriers. But if you are focused on what you want, I think it's possible to break those barriers, not only for you, but to those people who are around you. You can prove that disability is not inability. Like, you can do it. And don't look at how maybe your legs are weak. Don't look at how you can't see. No, you have vision. You don't have to see to have a vision. You don't have to have a legs or feet to you for you to move. So use what you have to, you know to 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 go to the next level, because always the opportunity are there for us to explore. And maybe for the parents, because parents have a great role. When you get the child with this especially spina bifida or any other disability, just know that you have the role to mold that child, to encourage that child for their future. So be there for them, because you never know what they can be in life. uh, the future holds a lot. The future holds a lot. So stop you know feeling that, oh, now it's the end of the world. To have a child with a disability is not the end of the world. In fact, those that child can be your support in future. They can be uh, the one to support even the other siblings. Like my case, I was the only one who managed to go to university and pursue my academics and careers because they had a disability. And I'm there to support my siblings. So today they no longer see my disability, they see my ability. Even my community, nobody see my disability, because I can do even more than what other people without disability can do. Yeah, so the support system is very important.
Very nice. Very nice. And we've heard that before. The particular, I know in your case, didn't get the support from your father, but family support. We've heard that over and over again, particularly mother support, has made a big difference in so many people with disabilities in their lives. Parents giving that child the support is critical to the rest of the life of that child. Um,
Yeah.
and I want to say hello to Sanini, club member from Zimbabwe, who is who's just dropped in on the chat. Um, So I know you can only speak for Kenya, but what kind of government services are available to somebody with a disability, and particularly in spina bifida's case, what kind of government services are available?
um Currently the government has been collecting data for people with the spina bifida, and of course other so-called severe disability.
Yeah.
So-called severe disability, for a
Hmm.
program called cash transfer. You see, every month the government give um Kenyan shilling, 2,000 Kenyan shillings. I think it's around $2. So no, not $2, $20 to the families with a severe disability, to support them, because um, they assumes that um, they can't work, you see, and so on. But at least government is doing something. They're giving some money to the family with children with severe disability, to support, as a way of supporting them, lifting. But the money is very small, very, very small. It's not enough at all. It's not enough for them to cater for their needs. So I'm not sure any other what else the government is doing, but when it comes to assistive devices, the national government, through the National Council of Persons with Disability, the persons with disability are able to access the assistive devices. Other, they are able to access the scholarship or the school fees to continue with their studies. So there's so much the government is doing. So, but for me, I feel also more has to be done to support people with a disability, especially the caregivers, um, who many times are forgotten.
And of course that's Kenya, and there's each country has its own services available, which certainly people should check out and use when they're there. And let's kind of talk about maybe the final question. Um, you're here today. This is where we are in your life today. And what are your dreams for the future?
My dreams, one is to keep, I believe that I will reach out more to, to people with the disability, because I work closely with the youth with the disability, and also to their parent. Currently, I have been working closely with with the parents, with the children with the disability, because I realized that what they're lacking most is the psychosocial support, or they lack maybe someone who can encourage them and tell them, it's not true. What you are told that your child will die because of spina bifida, it's not true. And here I am, I'm 1 years and I have not died. I'm not going to die anytime soon. I'm going to school. I'm plan. I have a strategies to use my life experience to encourage parents, especially who feel sometimes some of them feel like they want to end the life of their children or to end their lives, or depression, who are in depression, and tell them that there's hope, there's hope. I made it. Your child will make it. Just give the support that they need to and they will achieve their goals. So I'm planning to use those platforms to reach out more to young people and parents with the children with a disability, and be a source of hope, and also use my voice. I speak a lot, and I can really reach out to many people through my through social media, through music, to create awareness. Because when people see on TV speaking about disability, speaking about right of persons with the disability, most of the parents, most of people start changing the negative attitude when they see you excelling. Especially sometime, I told myself some time back that I have to make it in life. I have to keep doing best, not only because of me, but because of that person with a disability outside there who think the life is not meaningful, who feel they cannot do it, so that when they see me, they are able to relate, and they are able to to feel encouraged. Yeah, so it's to reach more and keep on advocating for inclusion of persons with the disability and rights of persons with the disability, to ensure that they are respected, they are protected, and they are fulfilled in a manner that is meaningful to the people with disability.
Super. I look forward to all this. Watching you continue to develop and continue to help the world, which is what you're doing. And you and I know, being in the Rotary Club and doing what we've been doing, even one person, changing one person, makes it all
Yeah.
worth it. So, and we aim to do that. And maybe one person watching this today has a different perspective on things, and they can certainly write to the Rotary Gmail, and I'll make sure it gets to you. It's going across the bottom here right now. So thank you, Grace. Thank you for spending the time with us today and educating us on all this. And talking about your own experiences was very helpful. And we, once again, if anybody wants to learn more about the club, write to us, learn more, reach out to Grace, and I'll see that you get in touch with her. And it continues, Grace. This
Yeah.
continues. It continues. So thank you very much, and thank you everybody who watched this.